Hi, welcome back to Crates with Zed. Today we're looking at a special munition, number 92. The big hits we're looking for are the Strange Kritzkrieg, worth 89.08 keys, and the unusual in munitions are the series 1 through 3 unusuals. I've got that tracking at 20 keys for the median unusual. The Strange Kritzkrieg is a 1% chance, and the series 1 through 3 unusual is a 0.66% chance. The rest of the munition is quite likely to open, and the value is all under half a key here. So really, all of these we're not worried about. We're only looking for a Strange Kritzkrieg and an unusual, hoping to break the streak. Today we're going to be opening 200 of these munitions. I'm seeing an expected value of 1.12 keys. Each crate on average is giving me a profit of 0.12 keys. That's highly dependent on my ability to get lucky with a Kritzkrieg or an unusual. The cost to open these are just the key. You can pick up these munitions for a scrap or two. They're not too expensive. Key price has really dropped in the past week here. We're down to 59.44 refined per key. I know I was holding a lot of keys in between recording, and so the keys I paid 70 refined for, I could have saved some money if I had used those keys in the meantime. Today, instead of my normal unusual tracker at the bottom, we're going to be looking at this binomial distribution of the possibilities we'll get in the remaining crates. I'm opening 200, and if you run that through a binomial calculator, you can see we have a 4% chance to get nothing. We have a 12% chance to get exactly one unusual or Strange Kritzkrieg. We have a 20% chance to get two of either one Kritzkrieg and one unusual, or two unusuals or two Kritzkriegs. 22% chance for 3 of those, 18% chance for 4 of those, and a 25% chance for 5 or more. When we get about halfway through, the binomial distribution is going to look a lot like this. So with 100 remaining, we're going to have a 19% chance of not getting anything. In the remaining 100, we're going to have a 32% chance of getting 1 hit, 26% of 2 hits, 15% chance of 3, 6% of 4, and 3% of 5 or more hits. So at the beginning, when we have 200 crates ahead of us, it's looking really optimistic in terms of the value we can get. When we get halfway through, the chances are going to get worse and worse, and if we go down to 50, you can see how much more grim it gets. You'll see this graph update as I continue to open more crates. Okay, let's get right into it. So we've got our 4 pages of number 92 munitions. Let's get started with number 1. We have a Strange Red Tape Recorder. Okay, that one's worth 0.05 keys, not what we want. Number 2. Strange, I've never tried to pronounce this. Alright, that's a Strange Shahansha. Number 3. Strange Candy Cane. A little early for holiday celebrations. Number 4. Another Red Tape Recorder. Now you're going to see the profit chart here is going to dip down, 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 down until hopefully we hit one of the big hits here. Again, only a 4% chance of getting nothing still. Let's really hope we don't hit that 4%. Okay, number 5. Another Red Tape Recorder. That's one of the more common ones, so we're going to see lots of those today. Number 6. Strange Dallacose bar. I play a lot of heavy, and that bar always looked tasty to me. Next one here. Strange. A lot of these I haven't ever actually tried to pronounce out loud. The TF2 wiki says that's pronounced Claithmore. That's one of the rare hits. Not the rarest big hit, but we'll take it. That one's worth 0.14 keys. Okay, on to number 8. Another Strange Claithmore. Number 9. Another Dallacose bar. Number 10. Another Red Tape Recorder. Number 11. We get Strange Apocophis. That's worth 0.05 keys. Number 12. Strange Red Tape Recorder. 13. Strange Warrior Spirit. Again, one of the common ones, not worth a lot. 14. Another Apocophis. On to 15. 15's the Shahanshah. 16. Strange Cloak and Dagger. I think that's the best hit, other than the two big hits. It's worth half a key. On to 17. Dalico Spar. 18. Apocophis. 19. Another Apocophis. 20. Another Dalico Spar. 21. A Shahanshah. 22. Another Dalico Spar. 23. Strange Apocophis. 24. Strange Buff Banner, worth 0.17 keys. Another one of those 3% hits. Number 25. Strange Apocophis. 26. Another one. 27. Strange Warrior Spirit. 28. More Apocophis. 29. Another Warrior Spirit. 30. Red Tape Recorder. 31. Strange Candy Cane. 'Strange Buff Banner. 33. Another Red Tape Recorder. 34. Strange Wrangler. It's worth almost half a key. 35. Another Choco Bar. 36. A Buff Banner. 37. A Red Tape Recorder. 38. A Warrior Spirit. 39. Another Red Tape Recorder. 40. A Strange Candy Cane. 41. Strange Shahanshah. 42. Another red tape recorder. 43. Another chocolate bar. 44. A Paco Fist. 45. Another one. 46. Another one. 47. We get a Righteous Bison Strangifier. That one's worth a key. That's one of the 1%, but not the 1% we were looking for. Okay, we'll continue on. 48. A Strange Red Tape Recorder. 49. Strange Red Tape Recorder. 50. I'll take a quick break to look at our charts. Strange Candy Cane. Okay, so we're a quarter of the way through, 50 out of 200 crates, and we're gonna look at our charts. So in terms of items opened, for the first tier here, it looks about even. We've seen less Candy Canes and Warrior Spirits, but we saw more Paco Fists and Red Tape Recorders. The rest of them look pretty much there. We're seeing more Shahanshas than we expected, and more buff banners. We saw one of the 1%, which is above average here. We didn't see the other one yet, and haven't seen an unusual. Now if we look at our valued open chart, it's a lot different. Basically, everything we've opened so far is quite inconsequential to the value we hope to open from the Strange Kritzkrieg and the unusual. They make up, like I said at the start, the entirety of the value of this crate, and we're not making value if we're not opening them. Looking at our chart at the bottom here, now that we've opened up 50 crates, we only have 150 remaining, so running the binomial calculator on that, we have an 8% chance to get nothing. We have a 21% chance to get 1 big hit, 26% to get 2 big hits, 22% to get 3 big hits, 13% to get 4 big hits, and 11% to get 5 big hits. Now that 8% chance of nothing's bigger than it was at the start. We were expecting 5% of that chance, and now we're up to 8%. Remember that nothing we've opened will influence the upcoming crates. Even though some might say that we're due for a good hit, crates don't care. RNG doesn't care about how you feel about it. It will continue operating independently each time you open it, so my chances only get worse as my supply dwindles. Okay, let's go to page 2. We'll do another 50 and then take a break to look at charts. 51. Paco Fist. 52. Cloak and Dagger, half a key. 53. A Red Tape Recorder. 54. A Claithmore. 55. Candy Cane. 56. Strange Dalico Bar. 57. Strange Paco Fist. 58. Another Paco Fist. 59. Strange Candy Cane. 60. Another Dalicos bar. 61. Another Dalicos bar. 62. Apocophis. 63. Strange Wrangler. That's worth 0.4 keys. Candy Cane. 65. Another Candy Cane. 66. Strange Apocophis. 67. More Apocophis. 68. Dalacospar. 69. Red Tape Recorder. And 70. More Apocophis. We see the nothing starting to creep up on us here. Going to 71. Strange Warrior Spirit. 72. Another Warrior Spirit. 73. Red Tape Recorder. 74. Another Red Tape Recorder. 75. Strange Candy Cane. 76. Strange Warrior Spirit. 77. Strange Claymore. 78. A Strange Cloak and Dagger. 79. Strange Wrangler. And 80. Apocophis. 81. We get another 1% hit. Again, not the one we're looking for. Righteous Bison, Strange of Fire, worth a key. 82. Strange Apocophis. 83. Strange Dalacospar. 83. Strange Red Tape Recorder. 85. Another one. 86. Another Dalacospar. 87. Buff Banner. 88. Apocophis. 89. Another Apocophis. 90. Strange Claymore. 91. Strange Dalacospar. 92. Strange Red Tape Recorder. 93. A third Righteous Bison Strange of Fire. 3 times hitting the 1%, but not the one we're looking for. 94. Red Tape Recorder. 95. Strange Apocophis. 96. Strange Apocophis. 97. Another Apocophis. 98. Strange Dalicospar. 99. Strange Candy Cane. And 100. 300th of the series. Strange Apocophis. Okay. Well, let's take a quick break to look at our charts again. Items opened, looking pretty bang on. Quite a shame that we saw more Righteous Bison Strange of Fires than Crits Krigs. If that 1% had gone to the other way, we'd be doing quite well right now. Value opened, again, inconsequential. That's what we've opened so far. We didn't see an unusual, and we didn't see a Strange Crits Krig. Our profit chart is looking real sad. We're down to minus 85 keys for the series after starting at 2 keys. So we've lost most of what we've put in so far. Looking at our binomial chart, this is how many big hits we get in 100 crates. So conveniently, we can use that for the previous 100 and the next 100. So what we got was nothing in 100 hits. That was a 19% chance. So we lost the die roll there. And that's alright. I'm not opening these in a results-oriented way, where I need to get something good to succeed. It's all about what we expect. For the remaining 100, like I said, 19% chance that we get nothing, a 32% chance we get at least 1 hit, 26% we get 2, 15% we get 3, 6% we get 4, and 3% we get 5 or more. That 5 or more, which started at something like 20% chance, it's now down to a 3% chance. Again, this is the power of opening lots of crates at once. The more you're opening, the more chances you have for these big hits, and the smaller sample size you take, the less likely you are to get some of these hits. Here's hoping sample size is working in our favor, and we find success in the next 100. Let's keep going, and fingers crossed for a Strange Crits Krig, which I'll need at least one of to break even on this video. 101. Strange Warrior Spirit. 102. Strange Candy Cane. 103. Strange Warrior Spirit. 104. Strange Claithmore. 105. Strange Candy Cane. 106. Strange Apocophis. 107. Strange Warrior Spirit. 108. Strange Red Tape. 109. Strange Buff Banner. 110. Strange Warrior Spirit. 111. Strange Dalicospar. 112. Strange Wrangler. 113. Strange Dalicos. 114. Strange Warrior Spirit. 115. Strange Apocophis. 116. Strange Apocophis. 117. Strange Clathmore. 118. Strange Warrior Spirit. 119. Strange Red Tape. 120. Strange Warrior Spirit. 121. Strange Dalico Bar. 122. Strange Candy Cane. 123. Strange Cloak and Dagger. 124. Strange Dalico Bar. 125. Strange Wrangler. 126. Strange Red Tape Recorder. 127. Strange Dalico Bar. 128. Strange Warrior Spirit. 129. Strange Dalico Bar. 130. Strange Candy Cane. 131. Strange Dalico Bar. 132. Another one. 133. Strange Apocophis. 134. Another chocolate bar. 135. Strange Candy Cane. 36. Strange Warrior Spirit. 137. Strange Candy Cane. 138. Another Candy Cane. 139. Red Tape Recorder. 140. Dalico Bar. 141. Another Dalico Bar. 142. Another chocolate bar. 143. Strange Warrior Spirit. 144. Strange Candy Cane. 145. Red Tape Recorder. 146. Another Red Tape Recorder. 147. Candy Cane. 148. Another Red Tape Recorder. 149. Warrior Spirit. 150. A Dalico Bar. Okay, one more look at the charts. Profit again. We're sinking down minus 131 keys. We're not getting the value we're hoping for. We've missed the Kritzkrieg and the Unusual for 150 crates in this video, 350 in the series. Our binomial distribution is looking more and more grim as we go here. We're looking at a 1% chance for 4, a 4% chance for 3, a 15% chance for 2, a 37% chance for 1, and a 43% chance for nothing. So we're almost at the point where at a coin flip to either hit an unusual or strange Kritzkrieg, or just completely miss and lose out on 200 keys of value. Anyways, here's hoping. Again, RNG doesn't care how you feel you should get stuff in crates. RNG just is as RNG does. And unless one of my assumptions is false, that these are the probabilities for the Kritzkrieg and unusual, this is just how it works out sometimes. And yeah, I'm in a place where I can do these videos, and losing, you know, a couple hundred keys isn't going to be the end of my world. But a reminder for you out there, please don't use crates to, you know, as a source of income you depend on. Gambling can be fun, but gambling shouldn't be controlling of your life. And there's lots of supports out there if you do need help. Anyways, 50 crates left. We're gonna see what we end up with. I'm hoping we get one big hit. If we don't get any, then the god of variance wins today. 151. Strange Apocophis. 152. Strange Warrior Spirit. 153. Strange Claymore. 154. Strange Cloak and Dagger. 155. Strange Candy Cane. 156. Strange Candy Cane. 157. Strange Shahansha. 158. Strange Warrior Spirit. 159. Strange Red Tape Recorder. 160. Another Red Tape Recorder. Okay. Just looking at my binomial chart, it is now more likely to get nothing in these remaining crates, and less likely that I get at least one hit. So we are officially running bad. 161. Red Tape. 162. Red Tape. 163. Candy Cane. 164. Candy Cane. 165. Red Tape Recorder. 166. Strange Dalicospar. 167. Strange Apocophis. 168. Strange Shahansha. 169. Strange Warrior Spirit. 170. Red Tape. 171. Apocophis. 172. Buff Banner. 173. Apocophis. 174. Apocophis. 175. Dalicospar. 176. Red tape recorder. 177. Dalico spar. 178. Strange Shahansha. 179. Strange Clathmore. 180. Strange Apocophis. 181. Strange Dalico spar. 182. Strange Warrior Spirit. 183. Strange Dalico spar. 184. Another Dalico spar. 185. Strange Candy Cane. 186. Another Candy Cane. 187. Apocophis. 188. Another Apocophis. 189. Strange Wrangler. 190. Strange Clathmore. 191. Strange Wrangler. 192. Strange Apocophis. 193. Strange Apocophis. 194. More Apocophis. 195. Strange Red Tape. 196. Apocophis. 197. More Apocophis. 198. Red Tape. 199. Strange Dalico spar. And crate number 200, our 400th of the series, is Dalico spar. Okay, well, I'll be honest, this sucks. Let's look at our charts. Value opened is quite negligible. We opened up 20 keys of value. We spent 200 keys, so that's a 90% loss here. We didn't see a single Strange Kritzkrieg. We didn't see a single unusual. Our unusual streak jumps up to 400 in a row without an unusual. I mean, otherwise, the crate was as expected. We saw about as many of the first tier as we expected. We saw about as many as the next tier down. We saw 3 Righteous Bisons, so we did hit a 1% chance, just not the one we were looking for. Going to the final overview. We expected a single Strange Kritzkrieg at least. We got none of it. And we expected almost a unusual. We didn't get that either. I'll say that we lost big on this one. Now, this is how these crates work. You expect value, but it's not guaranteed value. Things like this can happen. I'll keep touring these profitable crates. Next time we'll take we'll take a look at one that's a little less risky. But I'll come back to crate 92. I think a Strange Kritzkrieg deserves to get open on this channel, and we'll get one eventually. Just like we'll get an unusual eventually. If you're interested in buying any of the items you see me open in the video, I've got links to my classifieds and my bot's classifieds in the description. Feel free to send a trade offer for anything you saw open in this video that I have a listing for. I'll also promote my Warpaint skin since you're here, and watch me miss on my chance here. I made a Tetris themed Warpaint skin. It's less pixel art than you might expect. It's more of a pattern using the Team Fortress 2 Team Paint colors, and I'm really proud of it. If you think it's a skin that deserves to be in the game, hop on to that link in the description and give it a thumbs up. I also want to give a shout out to Wusky, who, after I recorded a video reacting to Wusky open up 200 of the new Halloween case, outside of that video he continued to open up some more Christmas cases and Halloween cases, and one of the ones he opened was this wonderful Sapped Unusual Tundra Top. So it's an all-class unusual. It's an effect I adore. So I've got it on my Scout, I've got it on my Spy. I think I need to paint the hat, maybe a team color, but yeah, no, totally in love with it. So shout out to Wusky for the second donation of the channel. I really appreciate it. Yeah, join me next time. I do lots of these crates, and you know, looking at the expected value, had things gone average, I'd be at 63 keys right now. They've gone below average, and I'm at minus 176 keys. So we'll keep open up crates that are profitable. Not every video is going to go like this. I hope you stay tuned. Take care of yourselves out there. It's getting more fall-like and winter-like every day, so make sure you're spending time on yourself and resting. And yeah, that's all for today. Take care. Bye.